Hello, welcome to my channel. Today's video is a paranormal research kind of video, just like I did Queen Mary's ship earlier. This is all about Alcatraz, so let's just go right into this video. So I have been absolutely fascinated with Alcatraz ever since my parents went and visited it a few years ago. There's a little back history of Alcatraz called Alcatraz Island, and it is 2 kilometers off the shore of San Francisco. Prison operators thought that Alcatraz was unescapable. They didn't think that anybody could escape the island, let alone the prison. But 36 prisoners made 14 different attempts to escape during the 29 years the prison was operated. 23 were recaptured, 6 were shot and killed, 2 drowned, and 5 are listed as missing and presumed dead. These 14 attempts include the Battle of Alcatraz, which happened in May 1946. And became very violent, and also includes 1962 attempt by 3 inmates that was arguably successful. I want to do a separate videos on these escapes in more detail. Alcatraz was used for the prisoners that were constantly causing trouble in other prisons. Almost around 1,576 inmates, including Al Capone and George Machine Gun Kelly. Alcatraz closed its doors March 21st in 1963. Alcatraz is a major tourist attraction. So now getting into the hauntings of Alcatraz, there were so many hauntings that I found when I was doing my research for this video. There's so many that I can't even put half of them into a video because there is so many of the prisoners that lived in there, of the people that worked there, that the tourists, that it's now a tourist attraction, so that the tourists have seen. There's just so many that I can't possibly put them all into a video, so this is just a few of them. So just keep that in mind, that there is so many reportings and sightings and everything like that, and that I'm not even just skimming the surface of them all. So I found this magazine probably in December. I have read through it all, and Alcatraz was one of these. So this magazine is from Life, the world's most haunted places, creepy, ghostly, and notorious spots. So I'm just gonna read what this magazine had to say about Alcatraz. Okay, so this is the spread on Alcatraz. So this picture is the notorious D block. I don't go too much into detail, but there is an A, B, C, and D block on one side of the prison. And then this picture right here is Alcatraz Island. So I'm just going to read what this spread has to say. It's pretty brief, so I'm going to try and get through it quickly. On May 2nd, 1946, in what became known as the Battle of Alcatraz, 6 prisoners overpowered guards, stole their weapons, and tried to escape from the prison on this isolated island in San Francisco Bay. But when they realized they were missing the key they needed to flee into the recreation yard, they grew desperate to captives and started shooting. Over the next 48 hours, 2 prison guards were killed and 18 injured. 3 would-be escapees were shot to death in the utility corridor between cell blocks, the very spot that 36 years later San Francisco radio anchor Ted Wygant, I do talk about Ted Wygant, that is the news reporter that I will talk about later, was exploring with a sidekick when he was overcome by a feeling of violence and evil. I got this tremendous feeling of anger, he told the Travel Channel. I felt this presence beneath us in the dirt, where these 3 men had died. Okay, so I kind of lost my spot. I was hearing weird noises in my apartment. It's probably the people above me. I found like a gurgling noise from my fridge coming. So I just opened up the door and turned the hall light on. So if you hear any extra noises, that's why. It's because my door is no longer shut. So, where was I? This is only one of the many supernatural stories involving the so-called Rock, which has been a Civil War fortress, a bird sanctuary, and the birthplace of American Indian Red Power movement, in addition to the brutal home of thousands of hardened convicts. Rejected as unimaginable by other prisoners, these men were called the incorrigibles, according to former inmate Leon Whitney Thompson. You step on a toe, it's gonna wind up in a death. Many of these long-departed inmates are now said to be unruly spirits. A spectral Al Capone has been heard practicing his banjo in the shower room. Mobster Alvin Creepy Carpus calls the bakery and kitchen home, while George Machine Gun Kelly has reportedly materialized in the chapel. But the most haunted spot in the prison, according to many paranormal investigators, is D Block, the site of the 1946 escape attempt and of the island's best spook story. Seems apocryphal, it's too good not to mention. A prisoner locked in cell 14D, one of the holes cell, supposedly screamed that someone else was in the dark, cramped space with him. When guards finally opened the door, they found him dead, strangulation marks from a spectral attacker on his neck. This little setback did not, however, prevent the late prisoner's ghost from showing up for roll call that night. Wow. Unlike so many haunted places, Alcatraz doesn't commercially capitalize on its reputation. In fact, the National Park Service calls the spook stories flights of fancy, as does the island's official tour website. There are no authenticated cases of ghost sightings by any of Alcatraz's residents over the years, whether they were soldiers, prisoners, correctional officers, family members, or park rangers. The site reads, "But how would you authenticate a ghost sighting anyway?" And former prisoner Thompson, for his part, believes the hype. "This island is haunted," he said. "It is the island of the damned." So again, just a little shout out to this magazine. Life. Alcatraz is reportedly haunted by the ghosts of Native American prisoners and officials perished during the American Civil War and military prisons. People report hearing whispering in the night, floating blue lights, and hearing clanking of chains in cells that are known to be empty. This next point that I have was also mentioned in the magazine. They are a little bit different stories, but all in all, they're based on the same situation, just remembered differently, wrote differently, whatever. One inmate saw red glowing eyes in the dark, and he screamed for hours. He was then found dead in the morning, purple face, eyes bulging, and strangulation marks around his neck. Since it's closed, you can still hear clanking of the cells, screaming, and crying. Again, this next point was also mentioned in the magazine. A skeptical news anchor spent the night and felt nothing until 3 a.m. when he got an overwhelming feeling of anger, where those 3 inmates were shot and killed. He also said he had a strong compulsion to fire a gun at people. So the most interesting part about Alcatraz for me is the fact that when these prisoners tried to escape, they knew that they had to escape while swimming in the ocean. The nearest place was 2 kilometers away, which was San Francisco. So that is by far the most interesting thing to me, is that these inmates were so driven to escape this island and this prison that they were willing to swim 2 kilometers in the cold ocean. So you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love doing these haunted research things, even if it does get me a little paranoid, because I've been hearing a lot of noises in my apartment while filming this video. I'm sure it's just my neighbors. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.